Today's episode of the Ross Cloud Podcast is sponsored in part by hiphopstationcharts.com, where you can view hip-hop and rap radio station song charts and track the promotion of your own song, such as view how many stations are playing your song and how often, including what day and time your song played. Check it out now. Visit hiphopstationcharts.com.
Hello and welcome to the Ross Cloud Podcast. This is our very first vlog of 2025. And I have Ms.Sheila Beverly with us on today. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Oh, awesome. It's a beautiful day today, isn't it?
It is a beautiful day today.
Wow.
Yes.
I love it. So, could you tell us the name of your company?
Yes, it is Kinesthetic Solutions Writing Center, LLC, Empowering Voice in Print.
I love that. And that's a mantra. That's your mantra, correct?
Yes, it is.
How did you come up with that mantra?
Well, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I thought about a lot of different things to say, and then I started committing it to prayer. And when I started committing it to prayer, some of what I said got kind of changed around. So I wrote down what I heard from the Lord, and that's what I came up with. And I said, you know what? I like that. And I laughed.
So it's fair to say that you're a woman of faith.
I am a woman of faith.
Could you speak to the folks about faith real quick?
Well, the biggest thing about faith is to know it's going to happen, even if it doesn't seem like it is. To speak it into existence. For faith is the evidence of things not seen. Right?
That's correct.
So you have to speak it into existence so that it is seen.
What's the misconception that people have about faith?
I think the biggest misconception about faith is not connecting everything that goes with it. In other words, you have to speak it. In other words, you have to believe it. In other words, you have to take the word of God and say that it's true, that it's real, and it's not just yesterday, but it is today as well. A lot of people, when they think about faith, they always think about, well, back in biblical times, way back then, and they did this, and Abraham did this. Yeah, they did it, and guess what? You can do it too, right now and today. If you believe it, you speak it, and you look for it to come to pass.
I love that. That is so powerful. You know, when you were creating this concept of writing, if you would, what was that process like for you when you first started it?
Well, it all began with working with students. This company actually evolved from me working at a school with children with learning differences. That's how they referred to it, and I loved it. Working with children with learning differences. And as I told them in the interview, because they asked me, well, what will you do to help our children? What is going to be different about you? I said, I can't tell you that until I'm actually working with them to see where they are and what appeals to their learning process. I said, so to be honest with you, I cannot give you an answer to that question. And I didn't think they were going to hire me, but I was being honest. I cannot give you what I do not know if I have not worked with the student or had an opportunity to be in their presence to see how they learn. And what I found out is that they learned by doing. Yes, in my educational process, we went through the educational process of learning how to work with children with learning differences, but I had not done it. So because I had not done it with a whole group of students, then I didn't know what I was going to use.
Right.
But what I found out is that they were what's called kinesthetic learners, meaning that they learn by seeing, doing, touching, the five senses. That's how they learn.
Yes.
And so when I came to that conclusion, I decided to color code the parts of speech and to create what's called the grammar bubble so that they could put it together. themselves and memorize the 8 parts of speech, color coded and touching.
So you were already using this concept even before you actually created it. Am I right?
Yes.
In a sense?
No, you are correct.
Oh, okay.
Because what happened, I'll be honest with you, I went to a reading workshop because the biggest thing for the school where I was teaching was reading. And I listened to what they were saying, reading. And for me, reading and writing are connected. So you could not read unless there was a writer. So somebody had to write the book before the students could read it. So to me, there was no separation between the two. So I would just smile when they would say that. And in the back of my mind, I said, well, I'm going to show them how to write.
Yes.
So that they can understand when they're reading it, how the person had to come up with it through the skill of writing. And so knowing that the 8 parts of speech, you know, the nouns, the pronouns, the adjectives, the verbs, the adverbs, the prepositions, the conjunctions, and the interjections, they're used in every book that you read. There is not one sentence that you could read that does not have the parts of speech. So if you teach students what they mean and how to use them, when they are reading, it's going to give them a better idea of the meaning of the text.
I love that.
And so that's what I did. And so I went to a reading workshop.
Hold that thought right
Yes.
there, Ms. Beverly. Can you speak to how important it is to invest into yourself? And the reason I'm saying that is I'm going to put emphasis on you going to a workshop. How important was that in that portion of the investment of what you do today in investing in yourself and going to the workshop? How important is that as you continue to manifest this great company that you've created?
It's very important. You can never think that you are the only one who knows how to teach or to do something. It's always good to listen to others in their area of study to see what they did and to see could it apply to your area of expertise. So the workshop I went to was a reading workshop, and it was at Wake Forest, I think. And the professor was an older professor, and he was excellent about reading. And what happened was he used a tree to describe the reading process and how to teach reading.
Wow.
And this is the truth. That night, I dreamt about the 8 parts of speech and how to put it together. I jumped up. I woke up and I jumped up. And I went to my kitchen and started grabbing paper towel holder. I got different colors of construction paper and I started cutting it. And I said, I'm going to call it the grammar bubble. And I'm going to teach them the 8 parts of speech by putting this thing together, because I didn't know. I said, putting this thing together.
Yeah.
So first I went to school and I showed them what I built.
Wow.
And they were so excited. They really liked it. And these were middle schoolers. They said, oh, that's so pretty. What is that? And I said, well, this is how we're going to learn the 8 parts of speech. And that was the beginning.
I absolutely love that. Thank you for taking us on a small journey with us on what that was like, that process was like. It sounds simple, but it was pretty extensive in what it took, the thought. But there was something that you said as we were talking briefly before about this process of you building this wonderful writing company, this concept of writing that you came up with. And there's a book that's added with this, of course.
Yeah.
But I want to speak to the power of silence before you actually started creating. The power of silence during the creative process of kinesthetic writing solutions.
Yeah.
This concept, the power of silence during that moment.
Yeah, it was very quiet. I did that, and I didn't tell anybody I was doing it, and I just took it right the next day and worked with the students. Then after that, I started thinking of a way to maybe make it out of wood, because I was still thinking I wanted it to be kind of natural, paper or wood. I did not want plastic, because I was just thinking not in the environment. I know that may sound silly, but I did not want plastic, and I was thinking they might can cut their hand. And then when I thought about the wood, I thought about splinters in the hand too. I did. So at first I took it to a guy at Winston-Salem State. I found out about him through his girlfriend. You know, I'm just now remembering this, to be honest with you. And I showed him the paper protocol. He created a wooden one, which was excellent. But it was so sophisticated. Oh my God. When I looked at it, I said, this looks like engineering. It was just so sophisticated.
Yes.
And I didn't say anything. I thanked him and I paid him.
Sure.
Or he may have said, no, Miss Beverly, I enjoyed doing this. I don't remember. But then years later, I'm still not saying anything to anybody.
Yeah.
I'm still working with the kids with the color coding and all of that. And they began to write. They began to journal. Because from that, I said, okay, we're going to start writing. We're going to start journaling. Parents were crying because they said they had never seen their kids write anything.
Wow.
And so that process was very good. And of course, it was also connected to the reading. But many, many years after that, I'm still not saying anything to anybody. I haven't said a word.
Still quiet.
Still quiet. Many years after that, it comes to my mind, you need to do something with the grammar bubble. I said, all right. So I take it to another woodworker at the school, at the high school where I was teaching. And he looked up what the other person had. And he said, you know, this is pretty sophisticated. He said, you want simple so the kids remember it. I said, I do. I want simple. So he redid it in a flat. It is so easy. And when he brought it to school, I was crying.
Oh, wow.
He said, so how do you like it? I said, how do I like it? I love it.
Yes.
It just didn't have the colors.
I understand.
So during the summer, I had to color code it. I bought paint and I painted it. And the colors for the parts of speech. And then, because it showed kinship and connection, the parts of speech.
Yeah.
So after that, I'm still not saying anything. Nobody really understands why I'm doing that. Meanwhile, I have created a chart for high school students of color coding the parts of speech, which was tremendous. Did they catch on? Did they become better writers? Did they become better readers? They did.
Wow.
Because they learned the functions of the parts of speech and how they're in everything that you're reading and doing. So I did that with the high school students. And then during that summer, I kept looking at it and I said, I can't afford to create or buy all of these wooden things, and the painting has to take place. I said, I've got to figure this out. And I really did. I went into prayer and I had the grammar bubble. I had my hand on it. I said, Lord, show me how to recreate this in a way that's friendly for the young learner and they can put it together. I want them to put it together. I want them to build the grammar bubble.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, after that, I heard plain as day. Get your pencil and your paper, and I'm going to show you how to draw it. And I drew it. And I'm not that kind of person to tell you that I know it was God.
Yes.
So I drew it, and I was looking at it. I said, oh my God, this is absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
I said, this is the base. He said, that is the base. I said, well, what about the rest of it? And so then he started speaking to me about how to do the rest of it.
Wow.
So that's when I went and bought thick paper, cardboard-like paper.
Ready for a popcorn adventure? Popcorn Remix is more than just a snack. It's an experience. With over 50 bold and unique flavors like king crab legs, hot wings, and lemon pepper, and Charlene's banana pudding, every bite is a burst of culinary creativity. Founded by entrepreneurs Ryan Richmond and Greg Bowman, Popcorn Remix turns life's toughest moments into something sweet. Visit their Conyers, Georgia store or order online at popcornremix.com and explore flavors you've never imagined. That's popcornremix.com, where every kernel tells a story. Teachers and parents, are you ready to empower your students to become stronger writers? Check out Rethinking Writing One Word at a Time by Sheila Beverly, a workbook that's been praised by educators for its innovative approach to teaching grammar and writing. Dr. Daryl Morris calls it a motivational hook that helps students get their ideas down on paper, and other teachers rave about its hands-on tools like the Grammar Bubble manipulative toy to make learning fun. Perfect for classrooms or home learning. Get your copy now on Amazon and watch your students' writing skills shine.
So after that, I created one, and it was amazing. So I took it to my church, St. Peter's Church, and I asked them, the director and the people that were in charge of the summer program, if I could use it.
Wow.
And they said, well, let us at least show it to the pastor and his wife and ask him, is it okay? Because it has never been used, and it's like a trial run with students.
Sure.
And they said yes.
Wow. Love it.
And the students were amazed, and I was amazed when they were building the grammar bubble and putting it together and talking to me about it, and of course they wanted to take it. I said, no, you can't take it, because I didn't have the trademark yet.
Yes.
I said, no, you can't take it.
Yes. Yes.
I said, but we can take a picture
Yes.
with us holding it.
Yes.
And we did that. So then that's when I contacted my attorney. He said, and showed him everything. He said, we got to get the trademark.
Yes.
So we did the trademark, and I'm still not saying anything to anybody.
Wow. You're still quiet.
Still quiet.
Wow.
And I get the trademark, and meanwhile I have been working with students, and that is all I had in mind to do, was a grammar bubble.
Yes.
And teach students the 8 parts of speech.
Yes.
And say to teachers, it's good after you teach this to start journaling with your students and talking about the parts of speech even after they have been journaling.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one day I was upstairs, as I would do, go in my prayer room, my prayer time of silence, and I was up there praying about everything, and plain as day, and I know it was God, he said, you need to write the book. And I said, the book? What book? He said, the book to go with the program. I said, oh no. I said, I'm still teaching, and I'm still in school, and it's too much. I can't write a book right now. I can't write a book right now.
Yes.
And then softly I heard his voice say, you've already written it. Go look at your computer. And sure enough,
you had already written.
I had written a preface.
Wow.
I didn't remember doing any of that.
Wow.
I had written the foreword.
Yes.
And I remember when I said, well, when did I do this?
Yeah.
And then he said to me, he said, look at what you started and break it into 5 sections. And if you look at your computer again, you will find the sections all muffled together, and you just need to separate them.
Wow.
So that's the power of silence. And I still didn't tell anybody. I started writing the book and organizing the book. and started looking for a publishing company. I still didn't ask anybody for one. I said, I'm not going to do that. And then I found one, and I sent the work to my attorney again. I said, look at this contract. What do you think? Is it legitimate? Will you research the company? And he did. He said, it's legitimate. It's good. It's a good contract. And so I started. Well, first, I put the book together myself to see what it would look like.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when I said, my youngest son and his wife came over to my house one day. And this is probably 7 years or 8 years later.
Wow.
From the beginning of this process.
Wow.
And I said, look at this. And they saw Rethinking Writing, one word at a time, 8 parts of speech supplemental activities and resources workbook written by Sheila Beverly. And they said, what? What? And they began flipping through it and looking at it. We said, oh my God, when have you been doing this? I said, probably 8, 9 years. They couldn't believe it. They said, oh my God, this is absolutely beautiful. And my son at that time was doing elementary school teaching and working. And so he said, oh my God. He said, I can't believe you haven't said anything. He said, why haven't you said anything? I said, I couldn't talk about it because I said, honestly, I was just talking to God about every move I was making.
Yes.
And they said, well, oh my God, he sure did give you the answers. And we laughed. We laughed.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And so I was able to send the publisher everything. And so, of course, you know, they go through to double check it, looking publishing ready.
Yes.
To make sure, did I mean to say it that way? And me saying yes or no.
So would you say that was a tedious process?
Very tedious. Very tedious.
Because it had to be perfect to...
And they would say, send us only so much.
At a time.
Yes. And then I would send that, then they would send it back.
Okay.
We need you to proof it. Did we do it right?
Correct.
Is this everything you want? That's one thing I did like about it.
Yeah.
It was Dorrance Publishing Company.
Oh, I love that.
And they've been in existence since 1932. I can't remember.
Wow.
African American owned publisher.
And what's the name of that group again?
Dorrance Publishing Company.
I love that.
And and I really can't tell you how I found them, I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
All of a sudden one day I get an email from this company, and I said, well, where did they come from? How did they get me?
Yeah.
And I really don't know. I cannot tell you.
Understood.
And then I talked to a representative, and then she said, well, let us send you the contract, and then you tell me what you want to do.
I absolutely love it. So now the book is done.
Yes.
It's published.
Yes.
Where can the folks, before we do that, before we close out, if you could say something positive to entrepreneurs, creators, inventors, if you could give 3 things in order to be successful, what would those three things be?
The first thing is to go to God in prayer. And to listen to what he says, and to be silent about an audience of talking to other people and asking them, and even saying to them, well, I asked God and I prayed to God and quiet, no talking. So to develop this silent prayer life, to hear from God as to what and how you should do it. So it comes to asking him for wisdom and knowledge of what to do and how to do.
Yes.
So I guess that's the bottom line. So that would be number 1.
Okay.
Number 2 is to be silent. Don't say anything to anybody. And the reason I'm saying that It's because when you first start, that is not the time to get advice, because God is telling you what to do and how to do it and how it should be presented. After you have come to that place where it's time for it to go into the public's eye, then you can start mentioning, if you like, I didn't.
Right.
Who is a good publisher? Who should I go to? I still didn't. I still prayed and said, where do I go? What do I do? And I still cannot tell you how these people emailed me. I still do not remember.
I got you.
But so silence is very important until you're actually ready to put the product out. After you have talked to the people who can publish the book, what will they do in that process? Who is my attorney? You need to get a legal advice.
Okay.
You need to have an attorney.
And this is still number 2.
This is still number 2.
Okay.
So number 2 is to get the attorney. You're still in silence. Get an attorney that's a reliable, and find out what you need to do with the products you have produced in a legal way.
Understood.
How do I legally do this so that it is mine and not someone else's?
Understood.
So you've gone to God in prayer, you're silent, you sought legal help, you're silent, and then finally the products are out and they're ready to be sold, and then you start telling everybody, I have a book.
And that will be the third thing?
The last thing is to start talking about what you have, and start trying to find places to do, in my case, workshops for teachers or homeschool parents about using the product, or private schools about using the products. And yes, you can use the public school systems as well.
I love that.
In other words, you don't X out anything.
No, not at all.
When it comes to the audience that will benefit from the product.
I love that. Thank you so much, Ms. Beverly. If you would, in closing, can you tell the folks how they can get your book?
They can get the book by going to YouTube or online. You can go online, and if you would just Google or research rethinking writing one word at a time. And the reason I'm emphasizing that is because there is a book entitled Rethinking Writing that is not my work. My work is rethinking writing one word at a time. And it will come up. It's a light blue cover. It is on eBay. It is national and international. You can order it, of course, from Dorrance Publishing Company. If you pull them up and put in the title, the book is there as well.
I love it.
So those are the ways that you can order the book quickly and get it in hand.
I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for this first vlog of the Ross Cloud Podcast 2025, as we take you on a journey of a writer, entrepreneur, mother, grandmother, Ms. Sheila Beverly. Thank you again for your time, Ms. Beverly.
You're welcome. Make it a great day.
Yes. And as always, keep making it great. I'm Chris Ross, and this is the Ross Cloud Podcast. Peace.